Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Keith Thurman is definitely trying to regroup and find a way to win, but it's not working out the way that he anticipated. Keith Thurman should really be, and Keith Thurman was one of my favorite fighters. Probably my favorite. And things just went downhill for Keith Thurman because he went and he got married. And that's not a bad thing. That's a beautiful thing. But I don't know who was advising him, not as far as the marriage, but as far as, being up the ring so long. Keith Thurman he's just been up the ring too long. You can't retire, you can't go on a damn 2-3 year hiatus with all those titles and expect to keep them all. He had to go. And that's the choice that he made because he was married, man's in love, and he's trying to sort things out, of course, to bring his wife back over here, make her as comfortable as possible. But he sacrificed some critical years of his career. That's what he did. And then he comes back after he fights Josecito. Then he takes all this time off, fights Pacquiao, takes all this time off, and fights Mario Barrios. You can't be out the ring 2.5 years. You just can't do it. Keith Thurman has not looked the same since he's returned. His punch resistance is not the same, and he was very fluid. His footwork, his combinations, he's not the same. But that's the choice he made. And do I think he deserves a shot at Ugas and Spence? I think he deserves a shot. There's a lot of things that wouldn't be happening right now if it wasn't for him. Him kind of sidelining himself and having those belts taken from him, man, because he wasn't, defending them. Hey, these sanctioning bodies want their money. Simple. But if it wasn't for him, hey man, and he was still remaining active, I think Keith Thurman would still be undefeated. That's how good Keith Thurman was. But now I just don't think. I just think he let too many good years go by. This man was in his 20s. Now he's 33. He was unified in his 20s. Hasn't been so unified since then. And that's a choice he made. But the one thing I don't believe this fight with Spence and Ugas. I don't think that should be Keith Thurman's fight. Because he lost, man. He lost. And it is what it is. Now, I think Keith Thurman is definitely a bigger name, but I think Keith Thurman needs to have like 3 more fights to really try to knock that ring rust off. But you can't have 3 more fights over 4 or 5 years. He got to have 3-4 fights in 1 year. Look great, and then go in there and bang out Earl Spence. But that's for Keith Thurman to decide. He's smart. This man's been boxing since he's been a kid. He knows the moves that he needs to make to rejuvenate his career, to breathe life back into his career, and being sidelined for 8 months, a year, year and a half, 2 years, 2.5 years. That's not the answer. It's not the answer. And I understand the way he feels. He's sitting back. He's an outsider now. He's nobody. No one wants to be a nobody. And he's been ostracized by everyone. Nobody's thinking about fighting Keith Thurman. What does he bring to the table now? He has a name, probably get a little decent pay, but he's going to want to get paid too. Keith Thurman's not taking no 80-20. He thinks too highly of himself to sit there and say, and concede to an 80-20 split. But he brings nothing to the table. He's got to understand that. He fought Mario Barrios. Yeah, he beat him. He looked very good against him. Didn't stop him though. So he's got to come back do something spectacular if he wants to get those opportunities. And get in a fight with like Spence and Yuga. Spence is on a mission. Keith Thurman is nowhere in his plans. Keith Thurman has a better chance on fighting Terrence Crawford. Not saying he's going to win, I'm just saying to get the fight. Because Terrence Crawford needs somebody to fight with. Terrence Crawford is another one who's out the ring too damn much. He's got to figure it out. But when you talk about inactivity, now Crawford is always sparring, he's always in the gym training. But I just can't see fighters being so inactive and getting in the ring and giving Spence any problems. I just don't see it. Spence is too active and he's just too good. But Crawford is good too. But like Keith Thurman, he needs to sort things out because this isn't it. To be a unified champion, to go and clip Danny Garcia in his prime, clip Sean Porter in his prime, that's huge. Even those fights he had with the Guerrero and, all those other fighters. He looked phenomenal. Keith Thurman would do stuff, man, that used to blow my mind. Like, his lateral movement, boxing off of off of turning his opponent, man. You think he's going left and he throws he stops in mid-stride and leaps in with a uppercut or a hook uppercut, man, and then roll out and counter again. Like, the stuff he would do was amazing. He doesn't quite do that now. So going forward, I'm not sure who knows what Keith Thurman's going to do. But he can do all the interviews he wants. But he's on the outside, man, as a former unified welterweight champion, man. It just is what it is. He's got to figure it out. And it makes me wonder, like, Keith Thurman and Adrian Broner would be a good fight. If Adrian Broner won 2 fights, Keith Thurman and Broner fight. Right now, Keith Thurman would knock Adrian Broner out. But Broner, see, this is the other problem with Broner. Broner only fights at that catchweight. So 147, he doesn't belong there. 140, he can't make the weight. So who the hell is going to fight him at 145? It'll probably be a 140 pounder. Nobody from 147 will come down like that. Because most of those guys are killing themselves to drop 20, 30, 40 pounds just to get to 147. So another 2 pounds, it's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. So we'll see what's going to happen, man. But Keith Thurman, the most important thing for him is to come back this year. He's got to come back strong, make a statement, show everybody, with or without a belt, that he's still, can't say the best welterweight, but he's still one of the best. But who's there for him to fight? Better not fight Staniutis. If Mantis Staniutis, leave him alone. He will have to find somebody that's a formidable opponent, but not a huge threat. But he better stay away from the killers, because them guys who just, walk through punches, they eat them shits like grapes. Those are the ones that Keith Thurman gonna have a tough time with. Because if he can't get them out of there, and a guy like that who applies pressure just keeps stalking you, Keith Thurman gonna be in trouble. Because it's a matter of time before they land, because his legs aren't what they used to be. Keith Thurman gets tired now. And we all know he can't take shots to the body. And for me to sit back and watch, I would say the deterioration of Keith Thurman's career is a bit disheartening for me, because he was one of my favorite fighters, and the talent, man, is just beyond comprehension. But when I look at the reason why he stepped away from the sport and why his career is somewhat deteriorated is because he built up another area of his life, which is, marriage, having a life partner, having a child, and that's a beautiful thing. But he's learning. It's not easy. It's not easy being married, especially with what he was going through, trying to bring her to this country and paperwork and the pressure, different culture, pressure to have a child and everything else. And I just think he was overwhelmed. and he's a good person. So his priorities are in the right place, but you could tell it's eating at him that he may have missed out on the opportunity to unify the division and probably to ever win a belt again. Because if Spence snatches this belt, which is not a foregone conclusion, but if he snatches it from Ugas or Ugas snatches it from him, they're going on to fight Crawford and unify. Spence would probably move up to 154 and just leave all his belts there. Then Keith Thurman would have a good chance on trying to win it, win one of them, and because there'd be some eliminators. But if Spence doesn't do that and he fights Crawford, cool. But I think Ugas would fight Crawford before Spence would. Ugas doesn't care. And if that happens, whoever wins, that person's gonna have all the belts. And what's Keith Thurman gonna do? You know? And Terrence Crawford will call, or whoever wins, they call the shots. I think Ugas would give Thurman a fight. Crawford, I don't think he would give Thurman a fight. See, Crawford wants the big money. And who can they fight to get the biggest money? Don't be surprised if they go up to try to do some weird catch weight or fight somebody in another weight class just because they're looking for the biggest money. I think they should take it all to Saudi Arabia, in my opinion. That's where the real money is. Go over there and make you $100 million like AJ's about to make. But that being said, Keith Thurman, not so sure he's going to ever get a crack at a belt at the welterweight limit ever again, because Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford, and Ugas, the three of them are running the show right now. And we'll see what happens with Spence and Ugas. Whoever wins that fight, hopefully will fight Crawford. Then we have the Undisputed distinction, and then from there, Keith Thurman is just a no-win situation because I don't think anybody's going to want to give him a fight. There's so many up-and-comers. Jaron Ennis, the Mantis, Staniulis, these guys, killers, man. And Keith Thurman would probably fight one of them for an eliminator, and he would lose. See, that's the thing. I just don't think Keith Thurman is going to pull off any more big signature wins. Him getting married just kind of, slowed things down. He missed some good years, man. And Father Time is unbeaten. And I think Keith Thurman is going to realize that. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Keith Thurman was one of my favorite fighters. I still think he's an amazing fighter. I just think that balance with family life and being a professional boxer, different culture, you just being gone from your child, who knows, man, 8, 10, 12, 16 weeks. That's hard on him, and it's hard on the young lady, I'm sure. Maybe she's now starting to develop an understanding, but, once you have kids, your time is over. And Keith Thurman knows that, and he believes that wholeheartedly. But at the same time, he knows what he's letting go away. It's like me. I boxed, not professionally, but I boxed. I was always in the gym lifting weights. I was always running marathons, running through hills, always walking around about 185, 200 pounds. I'm like 250 right now. When kids came, things changed. I have 4 now. And I understand his situation. I really do, man. And I think about that, damn, man, I need to get to the gym. I need to do this. But when you have those little ones, and then you have a wife, and they need your time, it's hard. And I don't have to commit 16 weeks to some training camp. That's damn near impossible. I could never do that. It's hard for me to find 2 hours in a day to go work out. But, I have to do it just to stay healthy. For him, this is his career. So he's going to have to figure it out, because for him now, with a wife and a child, someone who's depending on him, for him to fight 3 to 4 times a year, that means basically he would not be available that whole year. And he just can't do that. Not that he doesn't want to do that, because he could justify it to himself why he's away from his family. He can't do that because I don't think that the situation he has at home would allow it or be happy with that. Not that he won't get support. I just think that would just take a toll on that relationship. And I think Keith Thurman is doing the right thing, keeping home happy, being close by his kids. Because how much money does that man need? Keith Thurman must have about $30 million in the bank. How much more money does he need? So, but can't leave your mind behind. And for the rest of his life, if he doesn't get another shot at one of these belts, he's gonna always look back and say, well, if this, if that. But that's where hopefully he has the right people around him to be like, man, slap him. Like, get that, stop talking like that. What you did was the right thing. Money's not everything. Focus on your family. But anyway, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Keith Thurman's still one of the top dogs, one of my favorite fighters. But he just, too much time has gone by, man. I just think we'll never see him performing like he did against the Robert Guerreros, the Sean Porters, performing like he did against the Danny Garcias. Amazing fights, amazing skill set, high IQ. Just too much time has passed, and I think he's on the decline. So unless he can get in that ring 3-4 times a year, he might as well just get into commentating because he's a good talker, and he's very articulate and very insightful. The man knows boxing, and I think that's his next stop. But as always, y'all keep cool. Thanks for the support. I'm in the breeze.